Hello friends, I'm here for another 29 tarot spreads in 29 days reading with the Greenwood Tarot. So this is kind of a dual purpose, not only to do the tag, but also this is my month for exploring the Greenwood. So what I'm going to do is a 6-card spread that I call the Chariot spread. And it's essentially a pyramid. So the middle card, great, is me, and I'm the blasted oak, which is not necessarily a bad card here. So it's the blasted oak. So this would be me, the charioteer would be here in the middle. And then similar to the wheels of the chariot on either side, these are things that are coming with me. So they are rolling along with me. And then these two cards here are the horses or sphinxes of the chariot. And then this final card up here, oh goodness, is where I am headed. So that's the destination, that's where I'm headed. So and you can use this spread. I've used it a lot with love readings. It can be used with work. It can be used with a specific project. So it's pretty versatile in that regard, and it's just a 6-card look at a situation. And I'm liking how this is working. It was okay. The the Chinese system of elements was okay, but I think I like this spread already better for this because the positions I think are a little bit more general, and that works maybe even just with the stage I'm at with this particular deck. So yeah. So I'm the blasted oak. This is me. But I think it's the reason I don't think this is negative is even though it's the title is the blasted oak, and so you would maybe identify with the oak, but something or someone is being released, and so I'm guessing that I'm being released. Pros and cons to that. Doesn't look like a very graceful departure. But again, definitely being released from I guess I would say an equally unnatural bondage. The question for me always with this card is, what are you being detached from? Even if you were bound to something, what is, why were you bound to it? Was there something that actually was positive about being bound to it? When I think of a tree, especially an oak, I think of family, I think of stability and solidity and stuff like that. So that brings in the whole notion of the of the tower. So yeah, being freed. So again, I don't see that as a negative thing. For me, it could also be being freed from assumptions, freed from a prior way of existing. So I don't necessarily see this as bad. It could also, if I think of it as, if I think of the oak as home, as in my physical home, this is also interesting in terms of maybe having to eliminate some, like, eventually I want to take all of the carpet out of this home, there's some moisture issues that need to be dealt with. So, you know, that aspect comes up too. The things moving forward with me, the Five of Arrows. This card always strikes me in this deck, this particular rendition of the Five of Swords. Strikes me as being frustration. I'm identifying with this, not this, as in trying to nail something, shoot something, get something, and it's constantly eluding me. And again, this could have to do with my home. Oh, excuse me. I've got my usual tarot video yawns. For example, I suspected that I had a mold issue, and I had a chemical company come out and evaluate, you know, what was in the air, and they found spores. But then when the insurance company came out, they couldn't really find anything that to them looked bad enough to call it a claim. So there's all of that kind of stuff going on. So there is, I could see that having to do with my home issue. So this is starting to speak to me about my home, though I'm not sure how ending up at the shaman makes a heck of a lot of sense. But and maybe there are other things that that would fit this card that I'm just not thinking about at the moment. So the King of Stones. It's funny, this having the horse for King of Stones never quite made sense to me because they are fleet animals, and I think of them as being, I mean, I get the stones like in their hooves and the sound that they make when they run, but I would make them fire for sure. But here they are, King of Stones, but I'm just going to go with the horse, not worry about the stones association. Something moving forward with me. Since I do associate movement with horses, I think it is something that's moving forward with me is a question mark in my mind about whether I will move, whether I will leave, or when I will leave this home. I think it is a matter of when, but there's, for example, I don't think it's going to happen this year. So it's definitely way in the future is my guess at this point. That's my expectation. All right, so what is moving me forward? So I'm going to start to look at this. When this comes up here is judgment. So we kind of have that journey again. And this, and which makes perfect sense with what it's saying is my destination, is the shaman. And to me, this is a journey. You know, the judgment is usually them rising from the grave, being called to rise from the grave. I see this as similar to the Devil card in this deck, in that it is, I see it as a protected journey of going in, almost like this is your journey into the you know, the fairy hill. I mean, it could be the journey into a connection with the ancestors. So when I see this card in this position as one of the horses moving me forward, then I I can almost rethink these and and see this set of cards as talking to me about my relationship with the Greenwood Tarot. So in other words, in order to do it, I have to leave something behind. I have to leave assumptions behind. I have to be separated from the oak. Yeah, I've had frustration trying to connect perfectly. I haven't been able to get my arrow to hit the ram of the greenwood. This, I'm not sure how it relates to the deck in the way that I think of horses. Again, maybe it could just mean movement, you know, kind of a a determination to move forward with it. And then this would be the journey I'm going on, particularly that there might be an initiation into ancestral kinds of energy. I'm still not 100% sure on that or even what that quite means. The Eight of Wands, a lot of communication, and I've just committed to using this deck for 29 tarot spreads in 29 days. So that's accurate. And happily, I'm guessing this is happily, I will have a better grasp, you know, this is the Magician, and better understanding of this deck by the time I'm done. You know, so this is a very positive card to come up. If that's the way I'm choosing to read this. I really didn't have anything in mind as I was shuffling the cards, and when I drew them, it was just, you know, this is going to be my 6-card spread that I'm going to, Chariot spread that I'm going to share with people. So if I were to continue with the house vibe I was getting from these 3 cards, then this is my crawl space, literally my crawl space, which is where the moisture problem lies. And this is about the movement forward. And if this is the Eight of Wands is about, you know, rapid fire or warmth or air, even though it's a fire thing, you know, part of the process that would have to happen to remedy the moisture issue that I have down in my crawl space would require, I don't know that it would require heat, but it would require a lot of air. It would, in other words, it requires drying out, whatever that involves. Now, I have a hard time of seeing this as maybe just being in command or in control of the situation at the end, and transforming. I mean, that's what I would be doing, is transforming that space. I wouldn't be doing it. I'd be paying somebody else to do it. So I could see how it might make me feel more in control. I'm sure that there would be some things that have needed to be done to the house since I got it, or at least for the last 5 years I know has need to be done, would have to also be done as a part of the whole. I can't remember what you call that. Anyway, the amendment of that situation where I have too much moisture under the house. So interesting. I'm not going to, make any declarations. I obviously I just got kind of two readings out of that set of cards that made some sense to me, so that's a good thing. I did, in fact, I've got more. What I did was I went through, I've got a little 3x5 cards container thing, plastic container thing, and I just went through it, and I ended up with almost 29 tarot spreads just from that. And then I did go to the month of February in 365 tarot spreads by Sasha Graham, and decided to try some of the ones in there. So now I have to actually eliminate some of the ones I pulled out of my 3x5 cards. So I'm good for tarot spreads for this 29 tarot spreads in 29 days challenge. It's just a matter of following through, getting it done. All right, everybody. Take care. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.